Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in this video, I'm going to be joined by my good friend DM, and we're going to be talking about some of the main talking points here for Diablo 4 coming out of the 2 iterations of beta. Let's get into it. Hey, what's DM? How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you doing?
You know, I can't complain. It's another day, another day of gaming, and all is good in the world.
Well, if you can't complain, then this video is not going to go very well.
That is true. I need to think of something. Well, the main premise of the discussion that we were going to have today is like, if people think this, then it's probably best to either change your attitude or not buy Diablo 4. And you wanna kick off our conversation on that topic?
Yeah, sure. So I think basically the concept is one fairly simple, which I think a lot of people can agree with, which is there is a lot of discussion going around about the game. And a significant amount of that discussion is either fully on one side of the fence or fully on the other. You know, people are smoking a lot of copium, saying it's like groundbreaking, amazing game, etc. Which, by the way, if you do think that, you shouldn't buy Diablo 4 because you'll be disappointed. It's kind of the premise of the video. And then the other concept, it's the same thing. If you actually think the game is going to be the worst game ever and you hate it and it's terrible, don't buy it either. Like, just skip it. It's not really that big of a deal. And then that money feedback will go into the calculus to see whether or not the game's going to be successful. And I feel like there's a lot of kind of fighting amongst the gamers themselves about not necessarily whether the game's going to be good, but whether or not like you're allowed to even have an opinion on this debate sometimes, which is kind of weird. Like, I'm seeing a lot of gatekeeping, I think is the way to put it.
Yeah, there really has been, and there's a lot of infighting for whatever reason. There's and like, you know, and then people are taking like these hard stances of like you're not allowed to pre-order the game. If you do, you're like betraying gamers, and yeah, there is a lot of insane gatekeeping and hot takes on Diablo 4. But I do agree with you that I think we're both in the same boat and thinking, you know, what we've seen so far of the game is that it's going to be a decent game. It's going to be fun. Is it going to be something that completely earth shatter, just disrupts the whole gaming universe? I don't think I see that from what we've seen so far. Do you?
No, I mean, I honestly, it's what I would expect in this day and age of gaming. Like, it is an MMO version of basically one of the previous games. You know, they kind of meshed them together a little bit. They made a new one, updated graphics, a little bit different, you know, mechanics. We got the skill tree, etc. But like, for it is 2023, these MMOs are getting quite good. If you're trying to give me something that's supposed to blow me out of the water and I'm supposed to be jumping in my chair about how amazing it is, like, it just needs more. I don't actually think it's bad, and I do think I'm actually going to enjoy it. My rating was a 7 out of 10. To get down to the brass tacks of it, I thought it was a 7 out of 10. I felt like I was being decently generous with that rating. I could have gone lower, but I also really enjoyed like the lore and the cutscene. I mean, not so much the lore, but the cutscenes were good. The story seems good. The voice acting seemed good, and I was actually enjoying that more than I normally do in these games. I think maybe it comes with age a little bit, where, you know, normally I'm kind of always just like mechanics, skip everything. But I took the time, at least the first out of the 6 characters I got to 25. I took the time to watch everything. And I legitimately think if they keep up the pace of the story, the voice acting and all that, I will enjoy all of that. And I have played games before that I've paid $40 to $60 that literally only have like a 6-hour story, and then the game itself is completely over and it's just done. So I did calculate some of that into my brain when it comes to rating the game overall in Jimro. But I feel like if you rate this game based upon only your previous Diablo experiences, and especially if you play a lot of Diablo 2, it's just such a perfect game in people's opinions. And now you're like, instead of just being a game, you're like, how is this rate to other ones? I think more people are going to be disappointed than looking at it in a vacuum, you know?
Oh, for sure, 100%. And yeah, well, I think the reason like the Diablo 2 stuff happens is because it's like 20 years ago or 20 something years ago, and the standard for video games is so much different now. Like when Diablo 2 came out, people weren't expecting a game to give you thousands of hours of end game where you never get bored.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my opinion on Diablo 2 is just going to be really bad because I haven't played it enough. I didn't play it for the thousands of hours, and I didn't get to experience why the game is so, repetitively enjoying. I would assume it would have to do with itemization and the way you can actually itemize and customize your character. And if Diablo 4, in my opinion of Diablo 4, is I don't think it's going to have that ultimate level of customization. I mean, I think, would it be fair to say from what we saw, it seems like there's a few builds for each character, but there's not like dozens of builds for each character. And it does seem
Yeah,
like they're fairly obvious from the beginning. So if you feel like, oh, wow, I came up with the only person in the world who figured this build out, like I don't really think that's going to happen. Like, I think just for the most part, most people are going to understand how it works.
it seems like it's going to be a middle ground between like Diablo 3 and Path of Exile, where it's not a spreadsheet simulator like Path of Exile, and it's also not going to be Diablo 3 where like you just get multi-shot set and then you build multi-shot. So it's going to be a little bit in between. There'll be some different ways to play, but it's not going to be a Path of Exile or anything.
Did you play much Path of Exile? I played for the first, I think it was like 3 to 4 seasons, something like that. And then it was mostly in the beginning. And then people told me it got way better later, is what I heard. But have you played much of it?
I would consider my knowledge of Path of Exile to be like a 4 out of 10.
Okay.
So I'm not a complete noob, but I'm definitely not an expert. I preferred Diablo 3 for a few different reasons, so I kind of always leaned in that direction when I had time to play an RPG. But going back to what you said, I actually dead on agree with you. I gave the game like a 7.5 out of 10 for Diablo 4. I would need to see a little bit more of the game to feel like I can go to an 8.5 or a 9, and I would need to see the end game be amazing before I could go like above a 9, like a 9.5. So I'm a little bit encouraged that they're going to be doing seasons right out the gate, and they said, I know we should probably talk about that. That might be its own video because you don't want there to be seasons, and I do.
Well, I think, you're probably expanding a little bit on my original point, which is that I don't personally enjoy the concept of seasons in MMOs. Not necessarily that I don't think, I'm not, oh no, Diablo 4 is season. It's just I prefer in MMOs myself, no matter what style of game it is, I prefer to have a consistent, persistent character that we're always working on. Like I never really played like 5 alts in WoW. I mean, I did have like every class max, but I didn't really play them the same as I did like a main character. And that could also just be because I'm a RuneScape player. Where I come from, you have one character that takes so long to max. There's only so many thousands of people that ever actually do it, as opposed to the whole point is you get maxed almost immediately and then you min max. Like they're fundamentally kind of different concepts in games, which is where my disconnect comes from. Like I played tons of Diablo 3, but mostly as like a mindless, grindy arcade game. Like I didn't really feel the same connection to my character like I did in games like RuneScape. And so fundamentally for me in Diablo 4, I'm going to enjoy the game more with a singular character, which is why I've decided to go hardcore in order to actually enjoy it, because I'm going to play the hardcore druid. And then if I lose my character, it gives me incentive to start over. But I'll always feel like I have that persistent one character I'm working on, which is the hardcore, character on it. And so for me, that's how I'm solving that issue. But I'm not mad at Diablo for having seasons. It's just not what I tend to purchase games for.
Yeah, that's a good take. I actually played hardcore only in Diablo 3. I feel like Diablo 3 was a little bit more catered towards making hardcore a viable option. I think you're gonna have a rough go in Diablo 4 playing.
That's what most people are telling me. Yeah,
but I do love it. I'm a hardcore player for life in Diablo 3, so I'm still kind of deciding if I'm gonna play hardcore or softcore and all that. But I'm with you there. It could be fun to definitely do that. It's gonna depend on the builds and what the end game is like, and because I don't just want to mindlessly for no reason start over every 20 hours, but
yeah.
like it's going to depend, like everything. We just haven't seen enough of the game.
No, that's fair. And also there's a certain percentage of me that being, a streamer and YouTuber and all that, like I want the content to be entertaining, and part of the entertaining is deaths. So it may not be the smartest choice when it comes to like making guides and collecting all the legendaries and stuff, for sure, 100%. But it hopefully the viewers will enjoy it.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely a lot more entertaining to watch when there is the risk that someone might lose their character for sure. I agree with you there. I definitely enjoy that. But no, like to our original point, did we kind of cover that sufficiently in your eyes about like peoples, and like if you think this, it's probably best to like kind of change your attitude about it, or maybe just take a wait and see approach, because I know there's a lot of crazy takes out there with Diablo 4.
I honestly, I think I would look at it from this perspective, which is that look at how much the game costs, $70 basically. Okay. So you're going to be spending $70 on the game. If you are willing to spend $70 on the game and only partially enjoy a game, you should probably purchase it. If you expect for $70 that it is going to either be unironically, by the way, be the best game you've ever played. I'm not saying that as some like hyperbolic statement. I literally mean there's people that think it's going to be the best game they've ever played. If that is how you feel about it, and the $70 means a good chunk to you, you might want to save that $70 and wait for a different game, because I don't think it's going to be the best game you've ever played. I think it's going to be enjoyable. However, there's an extra caveat on there, which is if you're the type of person to buy $40 single player types of games, this game will never compete with like God of War Ragnarok or something. Okay, that's going to be an entirely better single player experience. But if you are someone who does enjoy the single player experience and you do play the games that are only 6 hours long or something, you might actually enjoy the story of Diablo. Like legitimately, it seems like it's going to be decent. And then after that, guess what? You still have a game that is actually designed to have you enjoy it after you've beat it, instead of you walk through a story once and it's over. I love Detroit Become Human, but I didn't play it 5 times, right? So that's my argument for the people. And if you're interested in the game, so be it. But if you think it's going to be the worst game ever too, then just don't buy it. Just don't buy it. Wait and see what people say. It doesn't sound like you're overhyped for it either. So I give this 7 out of 10. I think 7 out of 10 is a fair rating. I think there's going to be a lot of people that don't like it for legitimate reasons. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that do for legitimate reasons. And I guess my point is mostly determine for yourself when the game comes out, and don't fall prey to kind of like really polarizing on this issue. It seems like there's people making a way bigger deal than it actually is.
Yeah, this game to me seems like it's going to be like the most middle of the road. It's going to be a good game. I can kind of tell it's not going to be trash, and it's not going to be the best game ever. It's just going to be a good game. It's kind of what I can tell.
A good game.
Yep. Okay, cool. Well, hey, DM, I always appreciate you stopping by the channel and having a chat with me. It's always always good to touch base with you.
Yeah, man. Now I gotta get you to play hardcore with me on launch, so I don't have to solo everything.
It won't be a hard sell. I love playing hardcore, and I like, so in Diablo 3, you had to get to level 10 to play hardcore. I got to level 10 and I immediately played hardcore, and I never looked back. So
okay, so what if I can get you to commit? At the launch we play hardcore, but if you die, it's okay, no problem. You can go back to the normal way, but you got to play that for a while there, and let's see how far we can go before you get your first death, and then I'll let you set some. All right, I can see. I push back on that. Well, I'll get you eventually. All right,
we'll talk about it. That's what
we'll talk about it.
All right, I will link to DM's stuff down below. You definitely want to check out his content. He's uploading daily and crushing it over there on his channel. So have a good one, man. Appreciate you.
Bye.